Hello, my name is Jessica Hickey, and I am here in the town that I live, outside at a river. And I want you just to make note because this is important to me. I have lived in this town for 10 years, which is something new to me. We moved around quite a lot when I was younger, so I never had roots anywhere. And for the first time, I have roots somewhere, 10 years in the same place. So that is one thing about me that is really it makes me very happy. Another thing is I have two sons, which I absolutely adore. But on a different note, I am a organized person. I like things to be a certain way. I like to have them organized, and I like to know where I can find something, and I like to have it so that other people can also come in and know where to find it. So that is something that I truly like. The other thing is I am a multitasker. The more stuff you give me to do, the better I am. I can multitask like no other. I love the pressure and the stress of all kinds of projects coming down at myself at once. A good example would be is that I have two kids. I am president of the PTO for my oldest child's school. I am currently going to school at College for America. I work full time, and I also take care of a child on my off days. So I like to be busy. I like to be out there. I like to be the multitasker that I am. I love to learn. In any job that I've ever gone to, I've always hoped to grow and learn as much as I possibly can. Once that learning stops, I kind of go above and beyond to find more things to learn about, whether it's my position or someone else's position, not to step on feet or to get someone else's position. I just like the knowledge. So that is something about me that I really like. My work experience, I started to work at 15 and a half. It was a choice I made, not particularly, my parents weren't particularly happy about it, so I went out and found a job that I could walk to, and that job was Holly Ridge Golf Course in Sandwich, Massachusetts. I worked for them until I was about 19. About 19, and I worked my way from pro shop personnel all the way to opening and closing manager. I loved it. By the age of 18, I was opening and closing so that the managers didn't have to come in early or leave late. They could have an 8 to 5 job because they knew that I was going to be there until the last golfer left or the first golfer came in. So I was responsible for a lot of things. As I improved on one thing, they just gave me another thing. So that was something I've always done. Again, the learning. The more you give me to learn, the better off I am. The next job was CVS. I started at CVS Pharmacy as a shift supervisor and moved into a lead pharmacy technician. Lead pharmacy technician is, I was the lead pharmacy technician for a 24-hour CVS pharmacy. It was extremely busy. I had a team of about 15 people, not including the pharmacist, and I was responsible for scheduling, ordering, making sure people were where they needed to be, when they needed to be there, and I really loved it. It was very fast-paced, and took a lot of multitasking and organization so that it was a perfect fit for me. And as I moved on to better my career, I moved on to Riverbend Community Mental Health, Inc., which is the business I currently work for. I started off there as a program assistant, as a front desk person, in helping the office manager and the staff get the normal day-to-day things done, scheduling, making phone calls, interacting with the clients. I did insurance information, so it was really nice. And then I was given the opportunity to move up and I am currently the Quality Assurance Medical Records Agency Archive Specialist, which I am responsible for all of the records for Riverbend and how they are dealt with, and getting together a procedures and policy manual for the position. The next question is, describe a time you worked well on a team. All right. Well, I'm going to take something from something recently. I have currently been working as the president of my son's PTO at his school. And with this, we've had to come up with a playground committee because they need a new playground, and we need to fundraise $75,000. So with this, we need to find ways to fundraise. And one of the projects that was suggested was something called the Cabin Fever. So our responsibility was to come up with projects, crafts, donor tables, and come up with something to present to the community to come in to, one, thank them, and two, to help us come up with some of the funding for the playground. So my responsibility was to come up with the ideas for the vendors. So I would come up with the vendor ideas. I came up with the form for them to fill out and then send out. And one of the problems that occurred during this thing is that there was two of the same vendor that got invited to be a vendor at the thing, and the Cabin Fever. So working together as a team, we were able to come up with something to make both of the same vendors with different headers feel like they were not getting pushed away or down, but they understood that we were happy that they offered, but we weren't able to support them. So as a team, we were able to work together to come up with this Cabin Fever with the crafts on one end, the vendors on another end. We served food, and as a team, we were able to come together and actually make a profit of about $1,000, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for the community that I live in, it is quite a bit. So I was really impressed with all of us working together to get that to come together. The next question is, tell me about a time you had too many things to do and had to prioritize your tasks. Okay, so I'm going to go back to when I worked as a program assistant in the company that I work for now. As program assistant, I was responsible for obviously all the front desk stuff, scheduling, reminder calls, and all that thing. All phone calls, working with the clients, and getting down the data entry for billable services. Well, at the end of the month, every month, we had to make sure that all those billable services, SALs, were turned in. So what I would do, because I had so many things I needed to get done on a Friday when I was in the office by myself because the office manager didn't work, was I would make a list of things I would need to do in the time frame in which I would need to do it. So that my phone calls that I had to make for reminders for Monday for the clients, I would do after lunch, knowing that most of them were going to be up and I would be able to reach them and actually speak to somebody. I would get all my pre-scheduling and going through the calendars done in the morning. And then I would have a list of all the staff that needed to turn in their SALs and what SALs were out. And I would actually email each one of the staff and say, you have until the end of the day by 4 o'clock, because I would have to have an hour to enter all those SALs. You have until 4 o'clock to get all your SALs in so that I can enter them so that the accounts receivable can do what they need to do to the billable hours to bill them out. So I was able to take in an 8-hour shift, get all this information that needed to get done by multitasking and being able to set up what needs to get done and where it needs to get done. You've got to be kidding me. So, as a result, my end of the month emails from the manager of accounts receivable was always a positive. Thank you so much for getting that in, and I appreciate all your efforts, because I would put it out there that this needed to get done, and so that was that. The next one is, tell me about a time you had to go above and beyond the call of duty. I am, as a program assistant at Riverbend, you are trained by the office manager, in which case I am a very fast learner. So when it comes to computer systems, I catch on very quickly, and what they use currently at the office is a DOS system, which I had never used before, but caught on very quickly and realized that there was a lot more to this system and the clinical record system that I didn't understand. And when I would go to her about learning more information, she would just say to me that it's not anything that you need to know, so don't bother. Well, this is not an answer that I look for. I want to know if it's something that it could possibly be helpful, or I could be helpful in a different area, then I want to know and I want to learn about it. So I went above and beyond, and I started to reach out to other people that know those systems so that I could understand those systems. And that made me an asset to the company, because the more I learned and the more that I knew about the systems, the more I was able to give in information about, well, this doesn't work here, and we're getting a new system, so why aren't we doing this way? So things like, in our current system, we have multiple counts for one client. And this isn't conducive to the new system which we're going to, which is going to be a one number per client system. So I'm like, I was able to figure out that things needed to start changing in order to move on to the new system. So that is above and beyond what I originally was called to do as a program assistant, which is usually what I tend to do. Is I tend to go above and beyond in any position because I like to work and I want to do the work. So the next one is, tell me about a time that you worked effectively under pressure. And following up with what we were just talking about and talking about the merges. So the company that I currently work for, we are changing our system from a multi client account system to a one client account system. And through the position that I'm in currently, I'm able to see a lot of things, and the way that I research the accounts that I need to look at is through a date of birth search. And I have come across so many clients that can have between 3 and 5 different accounts because of last name, because of misinterpreting first names or misspellings, or that someone just didn't bother looking to see if the person had another account number. So through this, because we are moving to a new system, I had to they had compiled a list of merges that needed to take place, and they needed to take place as soon as possible. And they handed that merge over to me and said, you need to verify that all of these clients that they say are the same client are the same client, and that everything is prepped so that we can do the merge. Well, that's a lot of work, and it needed to be done in a short period of time. So I would come in earlier, or I could work from home, so I would do some at home, and I did it. And I continued getting emails throughout the process. I had a time frame. I had about 5 days I needed to get so many pages done so that they could complete the merge, and I did. And is a positive is now I've been able to go and help other people make sure that we don't make more client accounts so that we can stick to a one client account. Give me an example of a time where you showed initiative. Again, I think I'm going to talk about my position I currently am in. As a QA medical records department position, I'm responsible for the location of all of the charts for a client. So we have many different mediums. I have a paper medium, I have a electronic medium, and the electronic medium can be in a couple of different locations. So through this, I've come up with a system in our DOS system that states where each one of the charts is, so that a person can look and see that this is where the chart is. With this, it was never clearly told to me when I was a program assistant on how to do things within the system that we work. And never was explained to me about the merges and all of this information that I've compiled over the years. And I said to my supervisor, I want to get out there to the different programs and I want to teach them what they aren't getting taught, because it's important for them to understand why it's important to mark down location of the chart, why it's important to do these merges, and why it's important to complete releases in a certain way. So I said to her, do you mind if I put myself out there and say that I'm willing to do these trainings? I'm willing to work one-on-one with a program assistant to teach them the things that I felt when I was a program assistant that I needed to know and that I needed to understand, and to make their job easier, the trainings would do well. So my supervisor, she's very excited about the fact that, yeah, go do it. I'm really pleased. So I went and I sent an email out to all of the office managers. There are 3 different buildings in the area that I gave the opportunity, 4 different areas that I gave the opportunity for myself to come out there and actually do a one-on-one training or group training. So what they did was, a couple of them actually emailed me back and said, Jess, I would love for you to come out and talk to us. So I did 2 group trainings, which is technically not part of my job, but I went above and showed initiative to train the people, the program assistants, what they needed to know and what I could help with, and let them know that I'm here to talk to and discuss ideas. And I went really well. I was really impressed with some of the stuff that they didn't know that I was able to give them information about, and my supervisor was extremely happy that, that I was able to go out and do that. The last question, is there anything else you would like us to know about you? I think that my greatest achievement is when I moved into this position. I just want to give you an idea of what I was walking into when I came into this position, and knowing now that I'm a very organized person, how this could affect me in my mental state when I walked in. So I work in the basement of a building, and there are 2 rooms in which I work with. I have a terminated room and I have an archive room. Now, when I walked in the first time to the terminated room, I almost passed out. The boxes on top of the cabinets were almost 3 boxes high. There were boxes everywhere. Nothing was organized. And then I walked into the archive room. You couldn't even walk. It was just, the boxes were everywhere. You couldn't walk. I was like, how can you find anything in here? There's nothing you can do. It took me a year and a half to get through all of it. And I went through every single box and I marked the location of the chart. I set up a terminated ES wall. I set up a terminated CPA wall. I have my terminated section. We started scanning all the clients that had unfortunately died. And then my archive room also was so high. The boxes were so high, you couldn't find anything. So with my one employee that works with me 3 days a week, we worked diligently for a year. And now I am so happy to say that I can tell you that if I can't find something, I don't have it, because everything is marked, organized. You can walk down every alley. Even the agency archive section is very clean. You can walk through it. You can find what you need to find. There are, at the most, one box on top of the cabinets. And for the majority of it, I would say about 80% of the cabinets have no boxes at all. So my greatest achievement to me, and it was hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel because I was very like, you want me to do what? So my greatest achievement is getting it so that all the medical records were noted, and you can walk around and I can find and I can put my hands on every chart I'm asked for. So that is something that I am really pleased to say. So the other thing I wanted just to mention about myself is I am a forward thinker. So with the new system that we're moving into, I'm always thinking what is best for the new system and what is going to make things easier for everybody in the agency. My other thing would be that my thought process is always that all program assistants should be doing about the same thing, so that if I had to go into their position for temporarily to help them out, that I know that I'm walking in and I can do their job without having to ask too many questions. Not that asking questions is a bad thing, because I am all for asking questions and getting asked. But I think that if everyone did the same thing, work would flow so much easier. So that's about it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.